On the day the wind refused to blow, the kingdom seemed frozen. Banners hung limp from the castle towers, windmills stood still on the green hills, and even the sea lay like glass. The townspeople looked upward, confused, unsure how the world had grown so silent. In a small shop at the edge of the marketplace, Mira, a young seamstress with warm light brown skin, hazel eyes, and long chestnut brown hair tied in a loose braid, felt the silence more than anyone. She stood quietly, her dusty blue linen dress and cream apron catching the morning light through the still open window. Mira moved carefully over her work table, adjusting a small coat for a child. Her fingers trembled slightly as a thread slipped from her needle. Doubt filled her eyes, yet she kept working, determined to hold onto the craft she loved even when the wind itself had disappeared. Far away in the grand palace, the prince, fair-skinned with sharp blue eyes and golden hair, stood tall on marble steps. He wore a rich crimson tunic embroidered in gold and a jeweled sash. His expression demanded brilliance as he surveyed the kingdom. Mira stepped through the palace doors, clutching her small wooden sewing case. Her braid swayed gently with the faintest breeze inside the corridor. The prince's eyes examined her with expectation, while she lowered her head with a mix of nervousness and quiet courage. Inside the palace sewing chamber, the light from the tall windows shifted gently across the royal fabric. Mira's hands hovered over the cloth, uncertain where to begin. Her braid and apron moved, subtly in the amber light, reflecting the stillness around her. Night fell on Mira's shop, and candles flickered warmly. Moonlight spilled through the window. Mira's eyes reflected the quiet silver glow as she looked out at the unmoving curtains, her shoulders rising and falling in slow, thoughtful breaths. A small ribbon on the table lifted softly, as if the wind remembered it. Mira's eyes widened in surprise, and she leaned forward. A tiny, magical shimmer played along her fingertips, hinting at something extraordinary just beginning. Seated at her table, Mira threaded her needle carefully. The cloak's fabric moved faintly under her touch, glowing with soft pulses of light. Her breathing steadied, and her shoulders relaxed as a quiet determination settled over her. By dawn, the cloak shimmered faintly in the golden sunlight. Mira held it up, feeling warmth bloom from the fabric. Her expression brightened with hope as morning light filled the room and a new day began, promising the first stirrings of magic. The festival square filled with silent townspeople. Banners hung still overhead. The prince stood at the center, cloak draping his shoulders, edges moving almost imperceptibly. The crowd waited in curiosity and anticipation reflected in their quiet gaze. The cloak began to glow faintly. The prince's confident expression softened as his eyes blinked in wonder. A subtle ripple traveled across the fabric, hinting that the wind, though invisible, was beginning to return. The prince placed a hand over his chest, feeling warmth spreading through the cloak. Images of villagers he had overlooked flickered softly within the flowing fabric. His shoulders rose and fell, gently, his expression shifting to reflection and humility. A gentle breeze swept through the square for the first time. Banners lifted gracefully, windmills turned, and the prince's cloak billowed around him. Townspeople's eyes widened as movement returned to the once still kingdom, and sunlight shimmered through drifting clouds. The prince removed his jeweled sash and lowered it humbly. The cloak flowed softly in the returning breeze. Faces of the crowd softened, and banners rippled steadily above. The prince's sincerity radiated, and the kingdom felt the wind's renewed song. Mira stood at the edge of the festival crowd, braid and dress lifted slightly in the gentle wind. Her eyes sparkled with awe as she watched the prince's humility ripple through the gathered people, the kingdom breathing once more. Closer, Mira and the prince faced each other. The wind moved her braid and dress softly, and the cloak lifted behind him. Both blinked and breathed in unison, exchanging quiet acknowledgement of courage and trust. Back in the village marketplace, Mira adjusted a child's newly sewn coat. The coat fluttered gently in the breeze she had helped awaken. Children laughed, ribbons danced, and townspeople moved with subtle, natural motions as the wind carried joy throughout the stalls. On a golden hour hillside, Mira watched travelers and farmers wearing her scarves and cloaks. The wind lifted fabrics gracefully as her braids swayed lightly in the breeze. Her posture was serene and proud, a quiet satisfaction reflected in her calm expression. Inside her shop, sunlight drifted across wooden floors and shelves. Mira guided fabric under her needle with gentle hand motions, blinking softly, breathing steadily. Dust floated in the light, shimmering as the threads caught it, magical yet subtle. Close-up of Mira sewing. The needle moved slowly, thread catching sunlight, fingers adjusting with small movements. Her eyes blinked occasionally, braid settled softly over her shoulder, the fabric rippled gently in subtle air currents. In the royal garden courtyard, the prince walked among villagers. His cloak flowed lightly in the wind, subtle blinking, small head tilts, and gentle breathing. Villagers shifted minimally, small hand gestures visible, banners fluttered faintly, soft sunlight warmed the scene. Wide kingdom view at sunset, windmills turned slowly, banners waved, and the ocean shimmered lightly. Mira stood on cobblestones, breathing softly, braid and dress moving gently. Golden light drifted across buildings, capturing a magical sense of fulfillment. Evening hillside overlooking the kingdom, Mira faced the horizon, braid and dress moving subtly, soft breathing, head tilting slightly. Castle banners rippled gently below as lanterns glowed, twilight sky deep blue and purple with first stars faintly appearing, confident expression with serene magical lighting. Morning inside Mira's shop, sunlight brightened gradually, dust drifting lightly. Mira guided fabric beneath her needle, blinking softly, fingers moving naturally, braid swaying slightly. Calm, confident expression with serene magical lighting. Close up, Mira lifted the finished cloak, which flowed lightly in the breeze. Fingers adjusted fabric, small blinking and breathing motions, sunlight glimmered on threads. Background shelves remained still, camera drift emphasized shimmering magic. Marketplace at midday, Mira adjusted a child's coat, subtle finger motions, blinking, breathing softly, coat and ribbons fluttered in breeze, villagers moved slightly as they walked, fabric swayed. Gently, slow lateral camera pan showed joyful, magical realism. Royal balcony at sunset, the prince stood with cloak flowing softly in wind, subtle shoulder and head movements, blinking and gentle breathing. Banners fluttered lightly, windmills turned slowly. Warm golden light highlighted reflective gratitude. Mira faced the horizon, subtle breathing, head tilt, braid and dress moving softly in breeze. Banners and lantern glow below, first stars appearing above, slow push in with soft parallax, serene. Magical, timeless ending to her story.